Okay, imagine this for a second. You walk into a bike shop, right? You're excited. You see the perfect bike. Salesperson says, that'll be $100. You pay it, ride off feeling great.
Sure.
But then somehow, later on, you find out the shop only paid, say, $60 for that bike.
Ah.
And that salesperson just pocketed the other $40. Didn't say a word. How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
Pretty frustrating.
Great.
Unfair.
Yeah, absolutely unfair. You feel cheated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cheated. Well, that exact feeling, being shortchanged, kept in the dark, that's pretty much what many truck drivers, the carriers, have felt for a long, long time in the shipping world.
It's a big issue.
It really is. And it's mostly because of, well, a lack of transparency from some brokers. It's hit their livelihood hard.
Definitely.
So today, we're going to do a deep dive into something that's shaking things up. Broker transparency laws.
A very hot topic right now.
It is. And these aren't just, tiny legal tweaks. They're really reshaping how trucking works and maybe most importantly, how carriers can actually protect their pay.
Especially now.
Especially now, yeah. With all the economic pressure, rates going up and down, finding out someone's taking a hidden cut feels even worse.
Right. So maybe it helps to quickly define the main players here, just so everyone's on the same page.
Good idea.
Okay, first you've got the carriers. These are the folks actually driving the trucks. Could be individuals, could be companies. They deliver the goods.
The boots on the ground, essentially.
Exactly. Then there are the shippers. These are the businesses, the ones who need their products moved from A to B.
Got it.
And finally, the brokers. Think of them as the matchmakers.
The middleman.
Kind of, yeah. They connect the shippers who need stuff moved with the carriers who can move it. And crucially, they handle the payment side of things.
Okay. So they set the rates?
They often negotiate the rates, yes. And the problem, like you said, has been that, I haven't always been upfront about the full picture.
Meaning?
Meaning, how much did the shipper actually pay for that load? And how much of that payment is actually going to the carrier who did the work?
So the carrier might get told one price.
Right, and they might get much less than they maybe assumed because the broker keeps a slice, sometimes a pretty big slice, without really disclosing it.
Wow.
And yeah, beyond just being unfair, the key thing here, the real insight, is how this shifted the risk. Carriers were basically taking on the unpredictable risk of these hidden deductions.
Making it impossible to plan.
Exactly. How can you figure out your profit on a load if you don't even know what the real revenue was? It made running a stable business incredibly difficult.
So if I'm getting this right, it's not just about, ethical outrage, feeling ripped off.
Oh, that's part of it, sure.
Right, but it's more about the hard numbers. Financial protection, letting carriers actually predict their income, run their business properly. Is that the core of it?
That's precisely it. Yes, it's about economic stability. It's about empowering carriers so they can have a predictable business model, maybe even invest in their business. That constant guessing game about their pay, it just felt rigged to so many drivers.
Yeah, I can see that.
And these transparency laws, well, they're trying to change that whole narrative.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so our mission for this deep dive then is to really unpack these broker transparency laws. We need to understand why now, why this push is happening, and for you listening, what it actually means for you and for, fair play in trucking going forward. And to help us do that, we've actually got our hands on an essential guide written specifically for carriers. So it gives us that real practical viewpoint on these changes.
Straight from the source, focusing on what carriers need to know.
Exactly. Okay, let's break this down.
Let's do it.
All right, so we get why it's a problem. We know who's involved.
Yeah.
But these broker transparency laws, what are we actually talking about? Is it one big law or something else?
Yeah, that's a really good question because no, it's not like one single act passed on a specific date. It's more like a combination of existing regulations being enforced more strictly, plus some updates, mostly overseen by the FMCSA.
Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration.
Right. And the bedrock regulation here is something called 49 CFR Part 371.3. It's been around, but it's getting new attention.
Okay, and what does that rule say?
Well, basically, it mandates that brokers have to keep records for every single transaction.
Like what kind of records?
Things like, where the shipment started and ended, who the shipper and receiver were, and critically, the freight rate, what was actually paid.
Okay, that sounds comprehensive.
It is.
Yeah.
And here's the kicker. The regulation states these records must be available to the carrier involved in that load if they ask for them.
So carriers have a right to see this stuff.
Yes, and the broker has to provide it within 48 hours of the request.
48 hours. Okay, that's specific. So this isn't brand new, you're saying. But the enforcement, the access part, that's what's getting the push now.
Exactly that. The rules for record keeping were there, but maybe not always followed, or access wasn't always easy to get. Groups like OOIDA.
The Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association.
Yep. They've been pushing really hard for clear enforcement and making sure carriers know they can ask for and should receive these records. We've also seen related stuff in other acts like MAP 21, which touched on broker bonds and disclosures. It's kind of an ongoing evolution.
Right.
But the focus now is on active transparency, making sure carriers can demand it. The guide we looked at even had this story. Let's call the driver Maria.
Okay.
She hauled a load, got paid $2,000, felt okay about it. Later, she somehow found out the shipper had actually paid the broker $3,000 for that same load.
Wow. $1,000 difference.
$1,000. Pure hidden profit for the broker. But now, with these rules being enforced more actively, Maria has a clear right to say, show me the paperwork. Show me what the shipper paid.
That example really makes it clear. I can definitely see how these laws are meant to, level the playing field. But are there complications? Like, does this put a huge burden on smaller brokers, maybe? Or are there other issues popping up? It can't all be simple.
That's a fair question, definitely. And yes, there are discussions about the practical side for brokers. Some might need to update their systems, change how they operate a bit. It's an adjustment.
Sure.
But the general feeling, certainly from the carrier perspective in our source material, is that this is just necessary. It's about creating an honest market.
Right.
Any extra admin work is kind of seen as, well, the cost of doing business fairly. It shouldn't be an excuse to keep the carrier, the person actually doing the hard work, in the dark about the money involved.
So it's about everyone knowing the deal up front before they agree to the job.
Precisely. Know the full financial picture before you commit.
That makes perfect sense. And that transparency, it directly helps make sure you get paid fairly, right? It builds trust.
Yes.
It lets you, the carrier, make smarter choices about where loads to take, protect your own bottom line from those hidden cuts.
Absolutely. And there are very clear, actionable steps carriers should be taking now based on these rules and what our guide suggests.
Okay, what should carriers be doing?
First, know your rights. Don't be afraid to ask the broker straight up, what did the shipper actually pay for this load? Remember, FMCSA regulations say you're entitled to know.
Just ask. Okay.
Second, request records. If you're unsure or just want confirmation, ask to see the transaction records for a load you hauled. And remember that 48-hour rule, they have to provide them. That's from 49 CFR 371.3.
Got it. So follow up if needed.
Third, keep good documentation yourself. Track your pay stubs, your fuel costs, everything, meticulously. That way, if something looks off, you can spot it easily.
Makes sense. Be organized.
Fourth, join and support industry groups. Organizations like OOIDA, they fight for these rights. They keep you updated on rule changes, best practices. Being part of something helps.
Power in numbers.
Definitely. And finally, maybe the most important, stay educated. Laws change, the industry evolves. Staying aware of what's happening is honestly your best defense.
Awareness is protection. Good point. So really, at the end of the day, this isn't just about paperwork and regulations. It's about making things fair, making sure everyone sees the whole financial picture before they shake hands on a deal.
Exactly. And if we kind of zoom out, connect this to the bigger picture, the trucking industry is facing so many changes right now.
For sure. Economic ups and downs, new tech.
Right. And in that context, transparency isn't just about following rules. It's actually a vital tool. It helps build an industry that runs on honesty, on trust, and, on basic fairness.
It makes it less of a gamble for the carrier.
Precisely. It helps turn it into a more predictable business where carriers can actually plan and invest in their own future.
And that actually leads to a really interesting thought, something for you listening to maybe chew on.
Yeah.
How might this push for transparency in trucking, inspire similar demands in other industries?
Yeah.
Especially where you have these intermediaries, these brokers or agents, playing a big role.
That's a great question.
Think about it. What other areas, what other sectors could really benefit from this kind of openness? Where could it help individuals or small businesses really understand the true value they're bringing to the table?